I'm born and raised in Inglewood, California. It's a little city in South LA. It's the hood, so I got a little hood in me. That's okay, because now I'm a graduate student, so I'm a little more professional. Coming from that background, I didn't really have any support academically in any sort of capacity. So growing up, academics wasn't really an outlet, it was sports. So football was my outlet. My first goal was to make it to the NFL, and that really did bring me to Santa Barbara. I got recruited to play at City College here, and I thought, I'm like, okay, cool, I have another chance to play football. I broke all 3 of my fingers, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm out here in Santa Barbara, and as far as I can remember, I always knew about UCSB, but it was just not within my reach, because as far as I knew, this was an academic school. You needed to have good grades, and that just wasn't me. I was your typical meathead in high school, jock. Every time here, I would always pass by to go to Freebirds or something, and I'm like, it would have been nice to come to this nice school. I've always wanted to come here as long as I've known about this school, even back home in LA. It was just something out of my reach, and it was never out of my reach. It just, I needed to persevere and push myself. And I think that coming here, I realized why I wanted to come here. There's a lot of equity here. There's a lot of diversity here. There's a lot of support for people just like me that come from my background. And that's just what I expected from this type of UC. I wouldn't have chosen anywhere else. I think I'm very happy with my decision coming here. It was my dream school, and I'm here. I made it. Growing up in South LA, academics is never something that's pushed onto you. I'm a first-generation Guatemalan-American, so my family, being immigrants, they just did the best they could to get me out of high school. And further education was really never on the board for them. So they just tried their best to raise me, and I had to be that child that translated at home and at school. So I will be receiving my master's in education with a bilingual authorization, so I can be a bilingual educator. And the reason I chose that field of study specifically is, like I said, my upbringing really showed that there was no supports for me in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I didn't really know what to do with the fact that I came into the education system knowing just Spanish, and no one was there to help me to further my education. I remember the first person to help me out was my own uncle. He was also an educator. That's my first inspiration into education, is my uncle. He was the one that showed me how to translanguage everything that I was doing. And so now, as an educator in the UCSB TEP program, I realized the importance of me as an educator being that outlet for those that need the extra support. So my current research is based on equity and accessible education for all, specifically bilingual and multilingual students. I was one of those kids that didn't really have that support, especially in my community growing up. I currently am a bilingual educator at Alden. I've been there the whole year. I'm a student teaching. And I see the importance of making sure even that one child that may not understand because their first language is X or Y, and how I, as a bilingual educator, can help them through scaffolding or through certain supports, through language supports. And so that's specifically my research, and I want to further that. I want to make sure I take that into my teaching, not just as a graduate student, but into my teaching philosophy and my pedagogy, and me as a teacher. I want to make sure that I become someone who's equitable. I become someone who's accessible for my student. Not just, hey, let me just teach this lesson, and if you get it, great. If you don't. No. If you're not getting it, how can I help you get it? I want to be a teacher, an elementary school teacher, for quite some time. I would love to be a music teacher at some point, go back and get my music degree, because music is my passion, it's my soul. And after 20-something years of teaching and doing all that, I want to be an English professor at the university level. That's always been the goal. I do want to teach adults at the UC level. That is the main goal, that I want to take all this experience, what I've learned through my whole experience as an educator, and eventually I want to be an author at some point. I think it's crazy, like Kobe Bryant back to back, because I was a student speaker at my undergrad last year, and it's just insane to me that here I am next year. I feel so humbled. I feel just like honored. I don't feel like I deserve it. I feel blessed. I feel like God is good, to be perfectly honest. And I feel like I want to be able to express to every one of my graduates that I am very much someone just like them, that struggled and fought and persevered and had a lot to give and just didn't know where to go. And now I'm here. So I'm sure all the students that are going to be there at the graduate ceremony can relate to me. And I just want to be their voice. And I'm very happy and very humbled. I could not have asked for a better opportunity.